You talk about compromise as sort of an unpleasant necessity from time to time, because as I said before, and I know you would embrace this label, you are a liberal. Tom DeLay embraces with equal fervor the label conservative, and many analysts say that one of the reasons that Congress is unable to pass much legislation these days or get much done, this is the view of experts, of course, is that the partisanship and polarization now between the wings of the parties is so great, there is no ability to compromise, that partisanship has become detrimental to the process of passing legislation. What is your view about that?
I think the grand old Democrats, Tip O'Neill and Foley and so forth, represent one extreme. DeLay is at the very other extreme. I'm going to say something very unusual. I think Newt Gingrich is closer to the middle in terms of these extremes, because Newt Gingrich, who I think is a political genius, happens to be on the other side, and but I recognize him as a political genius, heads and shoulders above Karl Rove. But in addition to that, I think Newt Gingrich cared about the country. There was an element there where he seriously cares about the country, wants to solve problems, wants to get things done. DeLay represents a group that has an agenda to loot the government, to loot the taxpayers, to get as much as they can, as fast as they can, in every way they can. So you have these outrageous kinds of things happening. The passage of a prescription drug bill which says you'll go to jail if you go to Canada to buy drugs. In the same bill, the federal government is forbidden to negotiate with the drug companies in order to lower the price, although every government in the world does that and keeps the prices low. And of course, after that, the guy who's doing the negotiation gets a $2 million personal, he goes out on a job and gets a salary of $2 million. But of course, the drug companies tremendously support all the Republicans in every way. The Cunningham situation is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of he was a fool and exposed Duke Cunningham. He was very ragged and foolish, and his thing got exposed. But there's a whole lot of very clever operations going on, which is tremendous waste. Mr. Weldon, nice guy, enthusiastic. I always admired the way he speaks Russian. But it turns out that he has a whole system, with Italian companies and now and then the Russian companies, and his great facility in foreign language and so forth. He's been churning away to turn that into a network of operations that'll feed money back into his campaign contributions and also his personal family. So on and on it goes. That when you discover some of these things, you should understand that it's the tip of the iceberg, and it has greatly increased under the Republicans. Did Democrats not do the same thing? Yes, there were abuses. But if you just look at the amount of earmarking, most people don't understand. Democrats did have a lot of earmarks. And earmarks are one of the ways you stay in power. You shuttle money directly to people, and earmarking operation. But it increased so much more under the Republicans. $40-some billion in earmarks was the last. I checked with David Obey, who has a good read on it. You can't always identify earmarks the way they do it, but $40-some billion in earmark projects, and most of them clearly go into the Republicans. They don't try to pretend that there's a objectivity and some kind of balance. Most of it goes to Republicans, those who have the most power, and those who, of course, politically in trouble.
So you think that there's more corruption in Congress now than there was when you came?
Far more corruption. There's a systematic attempt to loot the American taxpayers. It starts at the White House. It starts with Dick Cheney. The oil lobby is the most powerful of all. We've just seen them rip us off tremendously with gas prices. And as the election approaches, they have the power to lower the prices in their various ways. You've just seen the war in Iraq is about oil primarily. And they will stop at nothing in terms of using the power of the government to enrich their system of corporations and various offshoots. There's Halliburton, there's Brown Root, there's all kinds of things which when you look at closely, you'll find a pattern of tremendous amounts of money wasted. What our Army and military people used to do, they built their own barracks, they built their own infrastructure, at salaries that are far too low. We pay our soldiers too little. But Halliburton goes in and they get multi-billion-dollar contracts to do what soldiers used to do, and on it goes. So it's systematic, and it's the Republican Party, Karl Rove, Cheney, Bush, that's their mindset, that the government is here, taxpayers here for the taking. I mean, the taxpayer funds are here for taking.